Hey, welcome to the table. Pull up a chair. I just got in from a walk. And the funny thing is, I started this video not realizing I didn't press record. So I had to adapt, right? So I'm starting over, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with recognizing that you've made a mistake and then you can start over because that's how you correct that mistake, right? Don't wallow in the fact that, oh, it didn't go my way. Well, anyway, I just came in from a walk. I went out, it was sunny, it was nice out. I got about a mile in and then the clouds rolled in, and it's just like I thought about, well, how often in our lives and in our days when we made plans, we're doing some things, and then everything seems sunny and bright, everything seems to be going the way that we want, and then the clouds just roll in to kind of quote unquote ruin the day. All right, so we had to make a decision as to, well, what are we going to do, right? We had to think about what choices we'd have to make. So as I was coming up the stairs, I'm still a little bit out of breath, so I apologize if it is kind of choppy when I'm talking. And it's like, as I was coming up the stairs, these two words resonated in my mind, like just kept ricocheting off my mind: adapt and pivot. Those are the two words that popped up: adapt and pivot. And as I was walking, watching the clouds roll in, because I'm like, let me hurry back because I don't want to get wet. The adapt and pivot really kept playing over and over in my mind. And it just brought me back to a conversation I had with a client this morning. We were talking about the choices that people have to make. And she was talking about some choices that she had, and I said to her, what is it that, you need to do based on the two choices that you have? You have to figure out, well, which one can you do? And the response I received was, well, it's whichever one that's beneficial to me, because it's not that I can't do it. I can do both choices. It's just which one's beneficial for me. So a lot of times in life, we are faced with choices, that we have to make, and we have to decide, are we going to adapt and pivot, or are we going to allow anything that comes up to ruin whatever direction or progress we've made, and even though, those are the two choices you have, and if people choose not to do anything, that is still a choice, right? If you choose to wallow, if you choose to not make any changes, that is a choice you have made. So no matter what people say about, oh, if you don't make a choice, you're not making any choices. Yes, you are. You're choosing to not do something. Either way. Anyway, so the thought of adapting and pivoting is what I had to do. I had to cut my walk short. I was trying to get about 2 miles in. I was close. I was like 1.8, but I had to adapt and pivot because the storm clouds were rolling in, and I didn't want to get wet. So the choice I made was, okay, let me go back to the office, go up the stairs, get a little more cardio in, and that's the choice I made. So at least I got nearly the 2 miles in, right? The goal was 2 miles. I got close to my goal, but I'm not going to beat myself up because I didn't make the 2 miles, right? I still made progress. I got 1.8 or 1.9 miles in, which is a lot closer than I was from when I was at zero, and so I just wanted to share that with you so that you could just think about those things. Look at your day today. Take a moment to just reflect on how your day's been going so far, and look at the things that have come up that might have caused you to get frustrated, angry, just felt like giving up, and try to determine in what ways you can adapt and pivot so that your day could change, so the outcome of your day can still kind of go along the path that you wanted it to go, versus sitting there and getting upset and angry and irritated, because oftentimes when we make that particular choice, we're not the only ones that get affected by it, because the other people we come in contact with will also reap the repercussions of that particular choice, right? They would also reap the repercussions of the positive choices that you make, right? Because I was listening to a little reel about the way that we think about things and how it affects our body, and how our mind and our body is so connected, right? The choices that we make, the thoughts that we think, our body remembers a lot of those, because depending on which way we go, our body will react. Even though we don't recognize it in an overt way, subconsciously our bodies will react, and it will store our physiological reactions, even though we might not necessarily want to express those reactions, but our bodies will react either way. And it's like, it was amazing to see the demonstration that this particular speaker gave. And our bodies do remember a lot of things. And if we constantly stay in that negative space, we will project whatever our body is reacting to in an outward way to other people, even though we might not be consciously doing it or consciously aware of what we're doing. Some of us might be very conscious about it because, you know, as they say, hurt people hurt people. But this speaker also said healing people help heal people as well. So the reframe was what really resonated with me. You know, it's very important for us as we walk through life and walk through any kind of conflict that we're facing, any kind of trauma that we're dealing with, any kind of issue or something that comes up that we're dealing with. We have to really take some time to take a breath, pause, reflect, and try to understand, well, how can I turn this around so that my day isn't ruined? You know, how can I turn this around so that I can still show up, not just for others, but for ourselves as well? You know, we have to adapt and pivot, you know, because sometimes, let's say we had a project, we had some money saved, but then an emergency come and we had to use some of that money. We have to figure out, well, how can we still accomplish what we want? How can we adapt? How can we still be able to reach the goal that we want to reach, you know, go on the trip that we want to go on? It might take a little more time to get there, but that's okay. You know, it's okay to take the little bit of time because it will preserve you in the long run. You know, you might find also that in the time that it takes, you might have refined your process to get to the goal, and you might have put other systems in place that will not curtail that direction for you in the future because of what came up. You know, I just wanted to leave that with you. Just take a moment to reflect, as I said, and pause and just look at your day and just look at how you're feeling and try to determine whether or not you need to adapt and pivot in certain areas. And if you do, try to think about, well, how can I best do this so that it's beneficial for me and so that I can show up fully and authentically as myself without trying to lash out on others or even lash out on myself. Okay. If any of that resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share this video. I'll see you at the table next time.